Mm-hmm. Old one, yeah, but no, we haven't seen this one. Yeah, it's a new one. I think it's one. I think it's Washaka. Washaka. Yeah. Ja, det var det.
Oh. Coffee, tea, coffee.
Now, I'm going to address this hornet's nest issue thing. Okay, so we heard he had a hornet's nest from the guy at the Sabi Sands, and whose name I'm not going to give you because there has been some rather angry vitriol delivered by some people to the authorities of the Sabi Sands, totally unjustified. But so that hole in the abdomen of the lion was caused by a buffalo. And I remember seeing this, and it's just been confirmed by Michelle, who is very involved in conservation around here. And so it was caused by a horn. I don't know if it was in the same altercation where he was hit in the face by the buffalo. People are saying he was kicked in the face by a buffalo, and I don't know if it was in the same altercation that he saw him horned in the belly. But many of you will have seen footage of lions being tossed by buffalo, and that's exactly that area tends to be where they get caught on the horns. And apparently that did perforate the bowel, and that would have caused sepsis, and that would have brought on definitely, I mean, if that didn't kill him directly, and it doesn't appear to have killed him directly, TB appears to have been what killed him, that would definitely have caused the TB to run rife in his body, because his immune system would have been shattered by having a perforated bowel. So we then think that hornets took up residence in that hole. Now, I don't know how long they were there. James Richard asking if it's ever been recorded before that hornets live in a live animal. I mean, we know that maggots and that sort of thing can absolutely survive in a live animal. And by hornet's nest, I don't imagine a group of paper wasps living up there. What you'll probably find is that there were hornet larvae that were laid, eggs were laid there because it was a convenient warm hole, and they probably hatched. So there's, I think that I think everyone's thinking what I'm thinking, and that there was a great swarm of hornets living in this living in this hole in the animal, and I don't think it was that. It was probably eggs and a couple of larvae and that sort of thing. So I think that's where we are with the hornets and the horned S8 male. So really nice questions. Judy H, you're saying, was it a hornet's nest, a horn injury, or both? It was both, as far as I understand. It was a horn injury, made a hole in his body that then had some hornets take up residence or be laid there. And so hornet larvae. Yeah, you'd imagine, James Richard, imagine that it was extremely unusual case, but curious if it's been documented in the wild before. Yeah, I don't know, I'm afraid. And like I say, this is second-hand information, but it does come from a reliable source, very reliable source. I've just got a message from Dylan basically confirming absolutely everything we've said. And the hornet's nest. I'm just going to confirm for sure that there was a hornet's nest there. Yeah, so definitely necropsy revealed lesions in the lungs consistent with tuberculosis. This is for the S8 male, as well as an abdominal infection, peritonitis, from a punctured intestine. There was a small wound under the back right leg that was almost completely healed, but it looked like he was just hooked by a buffalo, and that's what punctured the intestine. Now, there's another large piece of humble pie that's about to be consumed, and I'm going to consume it now while the drive's early. This is one of those things that I'm just going to have to rip the plaster off quickly and hope that it's okay. I am not to blame entirely for this. I am going to say I'm going to let the original source of the blame confess that a little bit later today. We have been talking a lot about the S8 male and his demise. This is a male lion who died last week of tuberculosis, and also he had a perforated abdomen caused by a buffalo horn. Now somehow in the story of his demise, it became known that there was a hornet's nest in one of the holes inflicted by the buffalo in his abdomen. Now, it sounded very odd to a lot of people, and in fact, two of our very regular viewers, without saying it directly, certainly started to hint in some of the comments this morning that they really found this a rather far-fetched story. Validly so. And I eventually went to the original source of the information, asked where it had come from. I then went to his source and I said, listen, what is the story with this hornet's nest? And he said to me, what are you talking about? So I said, well, we heard from you that there was a hornet's nest in this lion's abdomen. And he said, what? Somewhere between the original source of the information and the source where I received it, who you will hear from later, there was a miscommunication. I am sorry that I didn't go to the original source straight away when I heard this. I didn't. I believed, suspicious as I was, and that's no excuse, and I'd like to apologize. There was no hornet infestation on the S8 male. However, all the other information that I've given you, the tuberculosis and the perforated abdomen and the bowel, which caused an infection, that's all absolutely true.
Of course, a little bit of a miscommunication and misunderstanding about the hornet's nest there between the S8 male lion's legs and that. I won't put any blame on James at all. I think I'm the one that gave him that info, and I misheard from another person, I'm not going to mention who. And so yeah, I guess it was just all miscommunication, misunderstanding and all that. And I do apologize for that, really do. But it's I think it's got nothing to do with James. Don't blame him about it, because he just took my word. And yeah, it's one of those things. I guess we're all human, as I always say. You know, it's there's a typical thing when we were kids. We played that game called the broken telephone. I don't know if anybody has played that game, where you actually stand in a big circle, if you're like 10 or 15 or 20 people, and the one person says, okay, he's got the same word all the way around the circle until it comes right to the end, and then the last person says, okay, well, the first person said this, and sometimes you get that word, or how can I say, object completely wrong. And I guess that's exactly how things turned out with the hornet's nest and being horned. So yeah, one of those things. As I say, at least I can own up, and I will man up about it. Nancy, thank you. I love all of you too, really do, and thanks. As I say, I feel bad about it, and it was sitting on my shoulders today after I heard that it was not the case. But yeah, anyway, let's move on.